Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the MindShare podcast. So, this market isn't being really friendly to people in this industry right now. We went from really good times to wow, kind of the complete opposite. Competition continues to grow, yet opportunities, attention, and deals all seem to continue to shrink. And straight up, I think there's a lot of people, a whole lot of people that are struggling with a lot of stuff right now. Not just how to survive in this market, but how to actually stand out in it. Because again, we know that a lot of people have the same access to the technology and the social media platforms and all the AI and the marketing ideas. Yet somehow, with all those differences, people are still blending in. And when that happens, the business becomes reactive. People begin to lose confidence. They stop trusting their instincts. They start chasing bright, shiny objects instead of leading. And I continue to try to get this message across so that every single person that's tuned in right now can win in any market. And I keep telling you that your focus on a daily basis needs to be about progress over results. The small little actions that you take every single day, the consistency versus the perfection. Because if you're looking for perfection, you are simply procrastinating. And think about time. Sometimes, even just the planning without doing, it's a win. Now, if you're on the ball 90% of the time, it is still a hell of a lot better than, 50% or not at all. But the key is about finding the wins, leveraging them, and building momentum from there. This is episode number 387. So she spent almost 15 years at one of the most recognized brands on the planet, Adidas. She built the Adidas golf business. She rebuilt Adidas retail. She's led through major change, built high-performing teams, and helped Adidas transform into an even bigger, stronger, more recognized brand. Now, here's what I really love. She's taken all of that big brand experience, and now she's using it to help leaders and business owners like us show up, speak up, and stand out. And she is on a mission to help you strengthen your confidence, get clear on your vision, and actually stay consistent long enough to make it all happen. She's done this in boardrooms. She's done it on stages. She's done it on her own podcast. She's done it at our MindShare Mastermind. And well, she's here to do it with us again today. And it's not just survive, but it's to live, to win, and to do it all, not just in life, but in business as well. Now, I want you to ask yourself, just before we get started, where your biggest challenges are, where you're struggling, and if you're standing still in one spot of comfort or constantly looking for ways to expand your business. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is former vice president at Adidas, Lesley Hawkins. Lesley,
Hello.
welcome to the MindShare podcast.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here and always great to have a conversation with you. We could talk for days.
We're going to try today to keep this on time. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in. We'll be only about 5 hours for your listening pleasure.
Exactly.
No. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's wonderful here in Toronto. The sun is finally shining. I think spring is officially here. And yeah, business is on the up and up.
You say about this sun shining thing, and I know it's like that random conversation that people make about the weather, but seriously, we need to have a conversation about the weather because it has been way too cold, way too dark, way too everything for too long. This weather should have been here like weeks ago, but anyhow, I digress.
I know. And it actually feeds into how everybody feels about business, how they feel about the economy, how they feel about the political landscape. When it's gray for 8 months, it's a drain. It's a lot.
It really, we had a long, cold winter. I don't remember having that much snow in a long time. And to think how long it took for spring and summer to kick in. But we are here, and you are absolutely right, is that a lot of folks, that'll impact. It'll impact what's going on. And we've got a lot of people being impacted at this very moment, from business owners to individual salespeople to homeowners, regular people, people going and working every single day.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on there, but I figure we're gonna help solve some of that today.
We're gonna try.
Well,
Give some tidbits. How about that?
look, you've played at the top of the brand game with Adidas. And I mean, like, I don't have to say it to anybody. Everybody knows it, but like when we talk about like one of the biggest brands on the entire planet,
Mm,
right? Competing with giants like,
yes.
like Nike,
Yep.
and talk about having a competitor.
Yes.
Um, in the world of real estate, in the world of sales, we are all competing for really the same audience, maybe the same
Mm,
listing, the same buyers, the same deals. And a lot of agents, I have found, and we teach courses on this stuff as well, but a lot of people think that branding means logos, it means colors, some social
mm,
media templates, or having a social media account. Adidas obviously plays the game, at a very, very different level. And I guess the first question here is like when you look at personal branding,
mhm.
in real estate right now, and we're gonna go there specifically because when we think
Sure.
about our audience, it's very much made up of like mortgage brokers, realtors, folks in the real estate industry. Of course, there's ancillary, audiences out there, but there's our
Mhm.
primary niche. When you think about that, and we think about the brand, what do you think most people misunderstand about what an actual brand really is these days?
Mm. So I think you said a little bit at the beginning of people assume the brand is your logo, it's your website, it's all of those things that are front facing. I would argue that personal branding is how you actually make people feel. And particularly in real estate, but I would say in any industry, we are in the people business. And so it's all about human connection. I think more so probably in real estate, but your brand is what people are saying about you when you're not in the room. It's about when people have an idea, do they attribute it to you when they're looking for inspiration, education, insights in the market, somebody that they can intuitively trust? Are you that person? And to me, that's branding. You can slap a logo on it. And yes, you need a website and you need all of those information and you need business cards. But the true test of your brand is how people feel about you, your reputation, what they're saying about you when you're not in the room, your sort of unwritten sponsors that are out there.
How would you say that somebody measures that? Because I couldn't agree with you more. Like that's something I say to audiences on a regular basis. In fact, with part of our momentum training, one of the sessions we focus a lot of time in on is branding. And I
Mhm.
start the entire thing with people, and I'm like, listen, this isn't about logos and colors. I mean, we're going to talk to that because there's an element to that of the
Mhm.
face of the brand, the voice of the brand.
Yes.
But we got to understand the bigger picture of what branding is.
Yes.
What it really means, and you nailed it. I mean, obviously you nailed it, but it's that idea of like it's what people say about you when you're not
Mhm.
around.
Right. Exactly.
And we talk to KPIs, and you and I both understand that.
Mhm.
What would you say to somebody? How do they measure the impact of that brand?
So it's how much people stay with you. So the longevity of the clients that you're working with, I think that's the first measure because it means that you are standing by you're saying what you're doing and then you do it and you deliver. You'll hear this word 100 times from me, but consistently again
Mhm.
and again and again. And so if you can generate repeat customers on an ongoing basis, and particularly in real estate where you're really playing the long game, you're hoping that you buy and sell multiple places with one person. So it starts with that. And then it's the next way to gauge it. So one is how long have you had your customers and what's their repeat value? What's their overall full value that they bring? But then what are they saying about you when you're not in the room? You can determine that by the amount of people that they refer to you. And so I'll give you an example. It's outside of real estate, but our whole family buys our cars from one dealership. Now, all of our friends are now buying their car from the same dealership. The cars are the same at
Mhm.
all of the other dealerships within the same brand, but it's how they make us feel It's how they service us. It's like they make us feel like we are the most important people ever. And so anybody else who's buying a car is going to get that same recommendation from me because I know 100% without a shadow of a doubt that they will get absolutely the best service. So that's how you tell, right? It's how many people are coming back to you and then how many people are recommending you.
So it's really, it's a long game.
It's the long game.
It's a long game. It's almost like you're not going to get something that gets a box that gets checked today necessarily.
Correct.
It's about the totality of what's happening. I mean, it's funny when you bring that up. I think about the car dealership. You say the exact same car. I remember going to one dealership, test driving the car, talking to the sales guy, and every answer that he had for me was no. So I went a different direction to the exact same brand. I just went to a different dealership. I found a different guy, and every answer was yes. And done. And we have since bought 4 vehicles from that dealership, and I've told other people.
Right.
I think about my dry cleaner who barely speaks a word of English. Like we communicate through like, hi, like little like smiles and stuff. And she does a fantastic job. She's always taking care of me well. The funny thing is that it goes so far beyond, her, let's say, dry cleaning a shirt or hemming pants. It's the experience I have with her. And I know I just mentioned, like, we barely talk to each other, but the thing is, every year I bring her a calendar, over the holidays, and she loves the calendar. Well, every year she goes away, she brings me back. Like, she just brought me back the other day. She was at some wedding in Korea, I think, seeing it with family. She brought me back this gorgeous set of like spoons and chopsticks.
So good.
One year she brought me back like wine. And I'm thinking, what are you bringing me stuff for? You don't have to bring me anything.
Right.
She always wants to give me discounts. Why?
Why?
Not because she's just being nice.
No.
Because she has taken care of me so well. I've told like lineups of people to go see her, and they go in, they're like, yeah, my friend David. And right away she knows David.
Yes.
It puts a smile on her face. So this goes beyond the great job with the dry cleaning and the hemming of the relationship.
Right.
Right. And I'll tell you right now, she's amazing.
Right. And so she's delivering a service, and a service that other people can do. But maybe our dry cleaners are related, because I have the same situation with mine. We don't really speak very much of the same language, but it was really hot one day, hands me a bottle of water. I was like, that's really nice. You didn't need to do that. So appreciate it. Checks all the buttons on the jacket. It's those little things that differentiate her from just somebody else who's just dry cleaning my clothes. My clothes are the same, but it's the level of importance that I feel.
There it is.
Right? Like, I feel like I'm the only customer, and I know I'm not, but it's the same thing. And I think for all the brands that I've worked with, we were always in the product business, but now transitioning into the service industry, it's even more important, I think, to be really mindful of how you show up every day, how you make people feel. And you may be having a really tough day, and the other person may be having a tough day, but that's not for you to bring to them. It's really about you delivering this amazing human connection, because that's the differentiator. When I meet people and they're like, oh, I might not have any business for you, Lesley, but I know it's been a successful conversation when they're like, I should introduce you to this person. And by the way, I love your vibe.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
Right.
That's the win, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I think you actually just answered this. But if we thought about a brand positioning strategy that, like, you guys use in the big leagues, and I when we talk about the big, like, it's obviously, the size and stature of what Adidas and Nike are playing in are very different than us as individual small businesses. But would we say the experience is really what, like, any local agent, any small business that's tuned in going, how do I really stand out? How do I do that? Would we come back to it becomes that experience?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's the same thing for the big brands. Like, don't kid yourself. There's, yes, obviously product differences, pricing differences, some of that and positioning, I understand. But at the end of the day, particularly in retail, it's all about, once somebody makes a decision to cross the threshold into your store or engage you in a conversation in real estate because they want to talk about their biggest investment, it's you welcoming them into your home. It's how you ultimately make them feel. And so it's about the experience that you deliver. That's why retailers spend lots and lots of money every year on trying to make sure that it's not just four walls that you're walking into, that how you're greeted by the people, the experience that you have, the stylists that you're working with, the amount of education and training for the people that greet you, that it's an overall amazing experience, so that as you put, money on the cash register, that it becomes such an easy transaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you're more than happy to hand over your hard-earned money, which in today's economy is really tough.
Yep.
It's easier to do that when you know that the people that are serving you and the experience that you have had is worth every penny, and that they're bringing you value and that you're seen. And it sounds like so cheesy, right? I want this sense of being seen and belonging, but it is absolutely what, again and again, all the research is showing. It doesn't matter what generation you're in, this thirst for human connection is more palpable today than it's ever been. And it doesn't matter if you're a boomer or you're a Gen Z. So it's all about experience.
And I mean, when we think about the idea of social media and the way it's taken off over the past 20 years, that sense of what you just said with connection,
yes,
it proves the point in a big way, right? It says that's why we do it. Right now, you just used the word research, and I know you and I have had previous conversations around market research, and you have previously stated, at least I know in your content, potentially even in the room at the mastermind that day, but how insufficient market research is a really big reason for failure.
Yes.
And as you just mentioned about the human connection and getting together with people, and we talk about initiating and creating experiences and all the above. What questions do you suggest that agents should be asking themselves that they probably aren't maybe at this very moment?
Right. So it's a bit of a list, but I would start with, for you as the agent, what is your core competency? What makes you different from the agent standing on your left or on your right? And it could be the network that you have. You could feel like, well, I don't have as much experience, so it's a bit of a negative. But what is your core competency? Like, what is so uniquely different about you? And it could be your vibe, it could be your energy, whatever it may be, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be something tangible. Then what's your core offering? So yes, you're buying and selling homes, but narrow that down for me. Are you offering a full service? So it's not just that you list your house or your condo with us, but here's all the other value add. We offer staging, we offer storage, we offer what else is in there. And then I like the biggest one is, who's your core consumer? So who are you serving? And that's where it takes a little bit of work and research to be really deliberate about and specific about who that person is. And so it's like creating a muse. I'm sure AI can help with some of this to give you some ideas on it. But, is your muse a 32-year-old female who has got young kids? She's an executive. She's middle manager. She loves Pilates and yoga and like, how detailed and specific can you get on that consumer? And then it would be that sort of what's your offering, what's your consumer. Then it would be looking at the market research in your community.
Well, so, I was going to go there with you too, and say, because like it's easy for me to sit back and say, I'm going to scroll the MLS and just look at what properties are there.
Right.
But it's like, you got to truly understand, you got to understand the client, the community,
yes. Yes.
Maybe who else is out there that you're up against? So
Right.
sorry, keep going. I was just
Yeah.
going to go there with
So
you.
it's
Yeah.
definitely community. Like what's happening in your community where I live, like it's growing exponentially. I
Mhm.
think we're going to run out of land at some point. We're going to have to expand the borders. It's growing so quickly. But the demographics of who's moving in, like a lot of people from this metro downtown are moving into our neighborhood. So that's changing the whole demographics. What's happening culturally in our community? What's happening with all the events? Everything that's happening within community that you need to also understand. And then, yes, as you mentioned, what's your competition doing? And so it would be looking at other real estate agents, looking at competition like those who choose not to use a realtor or some of these other services I think that are out there that I think are online where you can sort of do it yourself. Not recommended, but
Not at all.
to say the least. But you have to understand and be able to intelligently speak about what's happening with your competition. Because if somebody was to come to you and say, like, what's your core competency you're offering, who you are, all of that, what's your differentiator, you also need to know the same information for your competition. You got to know who you're up against so that you can make sure that you are really carving out your niche. And then beyond that, I would look at where are people choosing to spend their money? So the idea of moving or buying or selling is a lot. Huge investment of time, investment of money, everything else, particularly in this market.
Yep.
But people's choices of when and how they're going to buy or sell their house is highly dependent on what's happening economically, politically, everything else, but also where they're choosing to spend their money. So I was, as an example, going to go into, we were going to sell our house. And then we looked at the market, we thought, well, maybe not. And I thought, you know what, all the time and the effort we were going to spend in doing all that, instead, right now, I'm going to travel. That's going to be my priority. And so part of you understanding everything that whole ecosystem that you're working in is what are the people that you serve, what's working for them and what's not, and what are they choosing to do or not. So you can like have back to that human connection. You can have that conversation.
Huge points. And again, it's when we talk about market research, it becomes daunting, boring, yeah, whatever. But it's not. I mean, it might be daunting. It might be, I wouldn't even suggest it's boring necessarily. I think it's exciting.
Yes.
And I'm going to say to people, and just to get really further tactical with what you just said, so I can bring it home for our audience. As Lesley's talking about your muse, your sort of your niche, understanding your client, really figuring out who do you serve.
Yes.
I know most people in this industry are going to sit back and say, well, if they have a roof over their head, and quite frankly, I have said that from the stage. I'm like, listen, if they got a roof over their head, it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
However, to get tactical, my suggestion, my encouragement to everybody tuned in is go back to your past 12 months.
Yeah.
Go back to your past 36 months. Go back to your past 5 years, 60 months, and ask and look at your deals and start to find some commonalities with the people that you deal with, because you will find it. It will be there. It might be first-time home buyers. It might be the young 32-year-old woman that loves to jog, or whoever you just explained, Lesley. Like, but it might be downsizers. It might be investors. Like,
yeah.
Look at who you've dealt with, because as much as we say right up here in the subconscious, I know who it is.
Right.
Do you though? Like, do you really? You might actually just identify something that never actually stood out to you until you did this little exercise. So go back to the past 12 to 60 months of business and go, who are my people?
Right.
You'll find a little bit more specifics.
Yes.
The second one here is when we talk about the community. One thing that I've been doing for years is I collect every postcard and every flyer that comes through to my mailbox from a realtor. And I, naturally being in the game, it's a little different for me, but again, to my audience, it's no different for you. My encouragement is collect every single one of those and really see who's doing what, who's offering what, who's out there, who says they're out there, but they're not really out there consistently. Right. and start to get a sense of like, who are you truly up against? Because it may seem like there's 35 different people, farming your area, putting stuff out
Mhm.
there, but
Mhm.
there's really only one or two that are totally consistent, which really means that's probably the only one or two you're actually competing against if you're also consistent.
Right.
So just to get tactical with that. Now,
Yeah. And they're also the ones that are gonna have the most amount of listings, right? And so that would be part of it as well.
absolutely, right? Because again, you're doing the research, and now you can figure out,
Mhm.
like you said, what is my value proposition?
You're right.
What
Right.
what am I gonna tell people as to the why me versus why
Right.
somebody else?
Mhm. The other thing I would say is in your suggestion to go back from 12
Yep.
to 60 months is finding you will figure out, I think, who you attract. And we tend to attract people that are in a similar stage of life to us. Or though you may be attracting people who are coming into your neighborhood who are first-time home buyers because of what's happening within the community. But there will be a red thread, right?
Yeah.
As I look at the people that I do the most work with, we're all there's a real similarity to the work they do, their outlook on um, business and leadership and the amount of investment they need to make in themselves and their being willing to invest in themselves. So there's always quite a few nuggets that you can pull from it. It's just being really deliberate, as you said, in doing the research.
Go do the work.
Do the work. Yeah.
Now, we that to me ties back into the leadership and the growth of business and
Mhm.
something we've talked to in the past about, um, leadership when you are the brand and a lot of agents say that they wanna build teams or they wanna scale their business, but when you really look behind the scenes, most of them are incredibly overwhelmed. There's a ton of stuff to do in a day, which is understandable, almost too much.
Mhm.
I don't want to say most people are very reactive,
Yes.
and typically speaking, operating without any structure.
Right.
When you hear that, what leadership gaps sort of immediately stand out to you?
So as a leader, and it would no matter how small your team is, it's making sure that you have a vision. So you see it again and again with this is what I want to do, but not necessarily being able to really crystallize what is your differentiator. So I would say it's like, what is your vision? What does success look like to you? What is your strategy? And I know you've heard this from me before, David, but there is an inherent difference between a business plan and a strategic plan. And the the leaders that make the most consistent businesses are those that have both. The business plan is what you need to do to go to a bank to get investment, to say here's some basic things that I'm doing, here's the structure of my
Mhm.
business. And the strategic plan is, where do I want to be in 3 years? How am I going to get there? What actions am I going to take? And it's not I'm going to hang a shingle over my front doorstep and therefore I'm now in business. That's a business plan. It's very different in strategic plan. And so the gap in leadership comes from, uh, or I would say the downfalls with not having a strategic plan is we have squirrel moments.
Yeah.
All of these moments where there's a new shiny trend, there's a new something that comes up, and that's what you chase after, and that's what you go for. When in actual fact, back to the word consistency,
Mhm.
those who know exactly who they are, they've got a really well thought out strategy for here's how I'm going to approach this market and do that consistently, are those that stay focused on their mission, focused on their vision. Their decision making becomes much better. Their ability to manage their business and their teams is much better. And the team that they're working with are crystal clear on what they're trying to accomplish every day. It's when we get scattered, and I'm raising my hand, I am like, not so great at doing this, great at strategic planning, but I do have my squirrel moments. And I'm grateful I have a business partner who calls me out on it, right?
Look, I'm one of the people that preaches.
Mhm.
Okay. And first, I know you've said it before, but I love learning from you, so I'm just going to keep learning from you. But I'm one of the people that preaches about structure, about time blocking,
Mhm.
about being proactive rather than reactive. And I really do operate my days that way. In saying that, just to be very transparent at all times, which I always am, we all have our squirrel moments.
Yes.
We all have them. The
Yes.
difference is, are you going to keep chasing the squirrel, or are you going to have the strategic plan that keeps you on track, that goes, hey, you're chasing a squirrel, get over here, and like
Yes.
sits you back in your place where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And look, if we come right back to it, I mean, companies like Adidas, major
Mhm.
brands,
Mhm.
they don't go chasing squirrels.
Yeah.
There might be
I
a department that chases some
Yeah.
just to test waters and figure out what works,
Mhm.
but there's always going to be a strategic plan. And when we look and say, well, how do I become the biggest of the big? I mean, Adidas is a perfect example.
You know what? I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, and I don't
Oh,
normally do
here
that.
we go.
So here we go. So I think that it is easy for big companies to follow the bright, shiny and the trends.
Interesting.
And a perfect example of that is all the work that Adidas did with Yeezy. And Yeezy became a huge part of the business. And when that went sideways, it caused a major catastrophic event in the company. And so you'd like to think that the big companies have it all figured out.
Mhm.
And for the most part, they do. But it is so easy to get hyper focused on what is the latest and greatest and forget what your roots are. Right. And so to take it into real estate terms, it may be that you're used to serving one specific consumer group and you're really good at serving them. But then you start seeing a flood of new people coming into the community, first time home buyers. You're like, I can totally pivot. They need a roof over their head. I can do this. But what you risk is you risk abandoning the people that got you to where you are today. And so a company like Adidas kind of lost their way. They went all in
Interesting.
on
Okay.
collaborations, and the function of the business was still there, but the biggest growth area was from all these collaborations with these great artists, whether it be at that point, it was Kanye West, not so great, um, but Beyonce and some others, and it became so big, it became a distraction.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here for a very quick moment, and we're going to reconvene on this part of the conversation here. Want to take a very quick moment here to acknowledge our sponsors of the MindShare podcast, Kits Keep in Touch Systems, which is your ultimate marketing and lead generation CRM. Bottom line, if you're in real estate, you need kits. And REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier magazine for real estate professionals and industry stakeholders for news, analysis, and commentary on Canadian real estate. While you're listening, head over to mindshare101.com and grab your free ultimate marketing bundle. And if you're ready to grow with business, ready to grow your business with coaching, with group training, or want to bring momentum training to your office, just get in touch with us. All right. Let's jump back in here. We're talking with former VP of Adidas, the one and only Lesley Hawkins, and we are going through today why so many businesses are struggling to stand out. And we were just having a conversation here about marketing, and I thought this was an opportune time to jump in and talk about marketing that is being done at the highest level. And I thought maybe we'd play off of what you just mentioned there. And I need to say hi, Joshua. Now, if everybody's like wondering where that came from, I just noticed my son is watching us live on Instagram and said, hi, Dad.
So
So I
good.
thought I'd say hi back. All that being said, Lesley, you were just talking about that. And when we talk about what happened with Easy and then sort of chasing bright, shiny objects, sometimes the squirrel, what's the number one mistake that you think that folks in the real estate industry, professionals in real estate, and again, we say the industry, mortgage brokers, real estate sales, but you own your own business.
Right.
What's the number one mistake they're making in their marketing right now? And what might be a quick pivot you think that you suggest that they can make? And that might be a really loaded question. Because
That
from
is.
a marketing
Yeah.
perspective, it can go deep.
Thanks for the softball.
Yeah. My apologies.
So I think one of the challenges let's start with social media.
Yeah.
So social media, the idea is that just keep creating content. And as long as I'm putting out content and I'm getting views and impressions, that's a win. And there's a lot of people out there that will say that's exactly what you should be doing. You should be all over LinkedIn, all over Instagram and Facebook. And it's just, you'll be top of mind as long as you just keep pumping out content. I argue that. I think it's easy to fall into that trap. But in actual fact, I think what people are looking for from social media is not more bright, shiny, things. What they're looking for is insights. And you, as a real estate professional, are going to be able to answer, or people want you to answer, like, what do I do? When is the right time to buy? When is the right time to sell? What's happening in the market? What's happening with interest rates? I mean, people expect you to be seers, right? You're sages. And so the more you can spend your time on social media talking about what you know, talking about the insights that you have into the market, that's what brings real views and real impressions. So it's not just clickbait, it's really adding value. So I think the more you can do that, I think that makes a massive difference. And it also, to go right back to the beginning, that becomes part of your brand building, right? Because if somebody's not sure what they're doing in the marketplace, you want them to think of you and think, well, you know what? I've read, listened, watched a lot of the content from this person. They seem to know what's going on. They seem to have a finger on the pulse. Okay, check. I trust them. And if you can become someone's trusted business advisor, that is the golden ticket in business, whether you're a huge brand or in a small service business. The other part of marketing, I would say, is being involved in the community, like really being involved in the community, leading conversations, being at events. And it's not just, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Or slapping your face on a bus bench.
Right.
Yep.
Can we stop doing that, please?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, she is not in the real estate industry. So everything she is saying to you right now is coming from the heart. Okay. As an onlooker to the industry. Yeah. Just an FYI.
Please stop doing that. Like for the huge city buses that drive, up my road, I was like, that's a big face that just.
Why, you're not just going to hire that person because they were on a bus? Yeah. Really?
I don't love it. I don't love it. I got to be honest with you. So it's being involved in your community.
Yeah.
The other thing I would look at and is going back to who you serve, because who you serve will dictate what kind of content is of interest to them. And so this is just top of mind because I'm going on stage next week to talk about this, but we're talking about generational gaps and how people consume information differently across the generations. And if you need to think about, based on who your target consumer is, who are they listening to? Who are they getting advice from? Are they getting advice from their friends who are all, empty nesters, or who is it? If you're talking to somebody who's a bit younger, user-generated content, so where there's actually other people talking about you in their own words, in their own opinion, that matters to those that are in their 20s and 30s. If you they basically, what we're seeing is Gen X and to a degree, millennials trust other people more than they trust brands. So that's more applicable to like a big brand like Adidas, but your marketing efforts should be directed, depending on who your target consumer is, on those that have got the ear of your target customer, right? So their friends, their families, their community events, whom they're involved with, businesses that they support, that they frequent. That should be where you get far more bang for your buck as well. You don't need to spend millions on marketing at all.
See that? And here's the other thing, as we brought up the social and then the buses and sort of connecting back with your people.
Mhm.
There's also an element of connecting with yourself, right? Like, we got a lot of people trying to be somebody that they're not,
Yes.
instead of just really trying to develop into an even better version of who they actually are.
Mhm.
Just in a quick tidbit here, like, how important is authenticity when it comes to this idea of leadership, of branding, of long-term success?
Right. So I will say this, that the BS meter is pretty high right now, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
it's
it's
true.
and I think people are really they're desperately looking for authenticity. They want these stories again and again of these, influencers, who are not necessarily who they say they are.
Mhm.
It just continues to erode confidence in the marketplace. And so, as a small business owner, your brand is you. And so, one, I mean, it should go without saying, but don't try to be the smartest person in the room. Don't try to be something that you're not. You need to come off as intelligent, but if you don't know the answer, the best thing you can say is, I'm not sure. Let me check. Because if you're going to try and tap dance, I tell you that BS meter is going to be flashing bright.
Okay,
And that's it.
then
You're done, right? The
then
conversation's over.
I gotta go here right now then with this, and I'm almost cutting you off midstream, but
All good.
it's as technology and AI continue to explode, you use the word intelligence,
Mhm.
it doesn't make you intelligent just because you can go to
No.
ChatGPT, type something in, and regurgitate it. Um, Talk to me about that for a second. When it comes to people leveraging the AIs to give them the answers and literally doing a copy paste to put it out there
Yes.
as opposed to interpretation, clarification, communication. What are your thoughts on that whole, how, why, the human connection, the emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
um, becoming even more important as we look ahead in business because we talk
Right.
about the BS meter?
Yeah. So look, I use AI. I am a fan
Yeah,
of
yeah,
AI for
yep.
organizing myself, for being more efficient, and for every once in a while helping me avoid some of those squirrel moments, to be honest, right? It
Mhm.
keeps me on track. But it is what AI doesn't have is your story.
Right.
And the moment that you expect AI to try and tell your story better than you is the moment you've lost the plot. And so, I spend a lot of time on social media, a lot of time on LinkedIn, and within the first line, I can tell if it's actually real or not,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
and to me, the posts that I get the most reaction from are those that I'm telling a story from my real life.
Yep.
I'm being super vulnerable, and I'm being honest about, yeah, I'm still figuring things out, and that's actually okay. That level of authenticity is part of my brand, is part of who I am.
That's right.
And I'm actually okay standing up on stage in front of hundreds of people and saying, "Here's a moment I got it completely wrong,
Yep.
and I completely threw up on myself." And I'm sure that there's people in the audience saying, "Oh my gosh, look at her, like, how brutal is that?" But if I try to say, "Oh, I have it all figured out," I once again, BS meter
Yeah.
starts flashing,
Yeah.
right? And so I think AI can help in some areas, but what it can't do is replace you and it can't replace your stories. It can't tell the stories with the same level of passion and interest and insights that you have. And you're the only one that can tell your story, and your story is different than every single other person in the universe. So own it.
Look, you know what? We talk to, and I'm sure you cross this as well with your audiences and individuals that you work with. I was just with a group this morning training, and we were talking about content creation as part of, again, the series of momentum that we do, this momentum training series. One of the sessions we talk all about content. And when I ask people why don't you share? A lot of times it's fear.
Yeah.
Fear of being wrong.
Yep.
Fear of what other people are going to say. Fear of not knowing.
Right.
Fear of how they're going to say it.
Right.
And as we talked to authenticity, I mean, just moments ago, I was asking you a question, and I flubbed my words, and went blah, 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 right? And some people would be like, "Oh my God, you
Right.
can't do that live." I'm like,
Yeah,
I
you
do
can.
anything live. I'm like, but one thing you can see, this guy ain't scripted. Like, it's very
Right.
real. It's very authentic, which means you
Yes.
can actually start to believe in it more and trust it more and form an opinion about it more. You might sit
Mhm.
back and say, "It's not my cup of tea."
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay too.
That's
That's
totally
okay too.
yeah.
But we will attract those
Mm.
who really do feel you're their cup of tea because you are as real and genuine as possible. And again, back to this idea of intelligence.
Mhm.
We humans have our own intelligence.
Yeah.
Then I, David, have my own, and Lesley, you have your own, and to you listening right now, you have your own,
Yes.
and that's a good thing.
Right.
That's what makes us unique, and that's where growth comes from, you know?
Mhm.
That's where, again, and I'm with you. I am not sitting here trying to advocate stop using ChatGPT or AI or anything else.
Right.
I'm not. I think there can be some fantastic uses for this stuff.
Mhm.
What we are collectively saying, though, you wanna stand out.
Yes.
And repeating and regurgitating something that you don't know enough about
Correct.
just because you found it online, you're just gonna fall into the same loop as everybody else. Because again, you,
Right.
Lesley, you said it, and I know a lot of others can read that first line, you can be right away, I know you didn't write this."
You didn't
I
write
could
that.
tell,
Yeah. Right.
you know? Now
And I think it's all about, like, we've got our own experiences, and
Mhm.
look, I get it. Online, it's really scary, right? The moment you're vulnerable, you speak up and you think, "Oh, what if somebody says something bad about me? What if they misinterpret what I say? What if they disagree with me?" My answer is, "So what?
They heard you.
What's the worst that can happen?
That's right.
They disagree with you." But that one person doesn't define you. It doesn't mean that you don't stop sharing. It means that you need to probably review how you view criticism, because I'm going to guess that that one negative was probably overshadowed by 50, 60, 100 really positive. But as humans, we go right back to, "Ooh, I
Yep.
wasn't perfect." Like,
Yep.
in what world do we think that that's real? And yet those are the standards we hold ourselves to. So yes, it's scary being vulnerable. And there is quite a few times I've posted on LinkedIn where I've shared it with my husband. I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to press go. Are you sure that we're okay with posting this?" He's like, "It's you. It's
Yeah.
your story. It's your vulnerability. Like, it's all good. Just do it." And inevitably, what I get is a lot of people commenting, "I can't believe how vulnerable you were. I admire you for that. Wow, you're braver than I am." I'm like, "It's not bravery. Just tell your story."
Listen, we tell ourselves stories about what could
Mhm.
go wrong,
Oh,
and we
yes.
always do the what if versus the what do I know for certain.
Correct.
And the what do I know for certain is I know my content. I know
Mhm.
what's going on. I know that I can handle if somebody says something that I don't agree with, and that's okay.
Right.
Um, Now, as we talk about attention spans, we talk about authenticity, and we've looked and said, attention should go to the people that are your target audience. Attention
Mhm.
should go to your community. Attention should go to your authentic self. That's from a marketing perspective. Now, if we look at a little more strategic perspective, not to say that's not strategic, but if I said to you, and we're picking your brain from like this super high level stuff today, because you got these awesome insights. But see, the listings are sitting longer.
Yeah.
Agents are using what we call price reductions as a solution.
Yeah.
And in some cases it is valid, in some it is.
Mhm.
But if we look at that as the race to the bottom issue,
Yeah.
right? Something we've chatted about in the past. What else would you suggest that agents are doing before simply looking at price? Like, how would Adidas have handled something like this, where they look and go, again, my competitor just keeps dropping prices.
Right.
We're both selling the same running shoe ish,
Yeah.
but they just keep reducing price. Like, we're going to get to a point where we don't want to reduce price, or like
Right.
we shouldn't reduce price. How do you battle that? How does it, again, how would Adidas handle that?
Yeah. So the race to the bottom is real,
Yeah.
right? If you in retail, if you look at, November and December, every year, it's how cheap can you go?
Yeah.
And I think it's built up the expectations with consumers that, well, I'm never going to pay full price in Q4 of any year because everything's going to be on sale. And there's incredible brands out there that don't ever go on sale, and they are real and authentic, and that's how they have built their point of differentiation. And so I think if you're a retailer, or you're in real estate, pardon me, there may be situations where you want to reduce your price, but it is a really slippery slope. And we've learned that certainly in the brands that I've worked with, that once you start reducing your price, you can never go back.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you need to be that much more innovative. You need to bring in a brand new product because you've done such a job of devaluing what you had before. And if your product is your personal brand, you don't want to devalue it, because that's what you have. That is your point of differentiation.
Mm-hmm.
So my recommendation is always to do the opposite. And so what we did a lot at Adidas when I was in retail was, in some stores, yes, it was about the upfront discount. In a lot of other situations, it was about value add. So you buy something and here's the incremental benefit that you get, right? So you get more Addy Club points, or you get a free pair of socks with the shoes, or whatever it is. So that now they're going out with more units out the door for the same dollars.
Right.
So you're still getting them to pay full price for that item, but now you made it feel like they got a deal. And so in real estate, it would be looking at, what is your value proposition? What do you offer? What additional services can you offer? Can you offer staging? Once again, this is out of my realm of
Yeah.
experience.
No, for
But
sure.
what are the other things that you can do? Do you provide ongoing updates every month of what's happening in the marketplace? The moment there's something new that's gone, on the market, even though they're not yet ready to sell, just so you know, this house in your neighborhood went up. Here's what it's looking like. Oh, by the way, it's sold. Here's what's happening. So that they're constantly informed of what's happening in the marketplace. Is there other things that you can do that makes, ultimately, you want your consumer to feel like they're getting more than they are paying for?
Okay, so here I'm gonna tie this together. I'm gonna assist with that
Thank
tie-in,
you.
because I like what you did. No, because look, you did exactly what I was looking for. Is if we take it outside of our shoes, because that's
Mhm.
sometimes the best way to even do things and make things more clear, is like, forget about you and your business right now. Let's look over here at this example, right? And that's exactly what I pulled from you right now. Was
Mhm.
we're taking out of real estate. We're still talking price reduction. We're talking a
Right.
different product: running shoes, sports gear, apparel,
Right.
whatever. And we know that our competitors reducing prices. And now again, I bring it back to the people listening right now, the audience, and going, there's people reducing prices. Well, on two fronts. One, I'm going to say listing price. Two, I'm going to say commission.
Mhm.
On both sides, because there were some examples you just made there, Lesley, and again, all good, and I thank you, that almost tie more back to, what can I do when somebody asks me to lower my commission? What
Right.
ancillary services can I offer that can keep my commission where I want it, but I can add on A, B, or C?
Correct.
Much the same when we come back to the list price and we say, well, we're going to lower it. Well, maybe there's something else we can do with other add-ons that, again, we can add on that now says, hey, we're actually worth this number. We might even be worth more because we're adding here.
Right.
And it's another way to shake the tree
Yeah.
and have that conversation. So
Right.
seriously, I know for you, it's kind of like throwing you into the fire a little bit on that. No, but it was helpful how you approached that, because again, it plants a seed in our listeners' minds around what else could I do
Yes.
as opposed to just lower price.
Right. Because the moment you start lowering price, and I get it, the market in some cases is demanding of that. It sends a message. It sends a mess. And when I see a house that's up for sale in our neighborhood and the price starts dropping, I'm like, ooh, either it was highly overinflated or somebody doesn't know the market. And so it actually speaks more, in my view, to the value that real estate agent, like how much are they bringing to the table?
And there it is, right? Because it may not be enough and it's actually poor positioning.
Exactly.
Right. And on top of the fact, and I'm just going to say to everybody, every time you lower the price, you're lowering the price of all the houses around it.
Correct.
Right. And that's where the market starts to get impacted. And if we look at it collectively as an industry, impatience is causing people to lower prices.
Yeah.
How about we go in there more strategic with a better plan?
Right.
We don't get as impatient. Not for anything, but and not to make this self-serving, but your commission's going to be higher on a property you didn't lower. And it's not about your commission. It's about the price for the home and what the person's getting.
Yes.
However, again, if the market continues to go down and people think it's bad, part of that could really be self-directed by us because we're lowering the prices on our own.
Right. And it becomes, it's just this one house. Well, if everybody says it's just this one house, that becomes the market.
Right? There it is. So here, we talk resilience planning. Okay. And we think about these external disruptors, like we're just talking to right now, from lowering prices, interest rate hikes. You brought up the government stuff earlier, and I don't want to go too far into government stuff right now, but new government regulations, whatever.
Right.
All this stuff can flip our business upside down, inside out, overnight. When things get hard, when things get uncertain or chaotic in business, what's usually separating the people who adapt during those times, who have the right disciplines to stay grounded enough, from the people who freeze?
Might need a psychologist for that one.
I got confidence in you.
I think it goes back to understanding, and those who have the discipline. You said it yourself. Staying absolutely true to who you are, who you serve, doing what you say you would do, and doing it consistently, and meeting or beating expectations. I think it's about that discipline. Those that don't do as well, in my view, have been those who say, okay, well, I'm going to pivot. And they pivot again and again and again. And we've seen it in big business where business is a bit challenging. Okay, we're going to open up this new product line. We're going to introduce a new brand. We're going to introduce a sub-brand so that we can sell off our old inventory. We're going to introduce a brand that's just for Gen Zs. And as you continue to add on, all you are doing is diluting the core of your business. And so I think it gets us all the way back to the beginning, which is if you know your core offering, you know your core competency, and you know your core consumer, that, and having the discipline to stay absolutely rigid in who that is and what that is, that's going to be the differentiator between you and the others that are doing this, that are running all over the place.
Well, running all over the place. How much emphasis do you put on time in a day?
All of it. I put a ton of emphasis on time. And that's where I think AI can come in and be quite helpful in making sure that you're really disciplined on your time. I think time and energy are two finite resources that we don't take advantage of nearly as much as we should. And so the more you can stay focused on your time management, and that doesn't mean that you're investing all your time in work. I can probably hear my husband laughing as he says that, but it's building in time. Like I build in time to go play pickleball and to go walk the dogs and do
It's
all these
true.
things, right? That's part of it, because otherwise I have no energy left.
Right.
And if all you're going to do is work all the hours that you have, that's not going to be great. So it's about being really disciplined in your business and disciplined in your time and staying focused. And the more you can do that, I think the better chance you have of being one of those businesses that stands out.
Okay, so if we talk to, because I know you coach leaders on confidence, clarity, consistency, as we've mentioned a few times. Which of those three would you say that probably folks in the sort of entrepreneurial real estate industry struggle with most?
Consistency.
Okay.
And I think it's consistency because the market is volatile everywhere. We're seeing major switches in generational wealth. We're seeing different generations who think completely differently than we did, being a proud Gen Xer. And trends are changing quickly. They're not fads, but they're trends enough. But by the time you figure out what the trend is and you maybe adapt your business, then they're on to something else. And so I think being really disciplined and consistent in who you are, what you do, who you serve, that's the hardest part, because you'll listen to a lot of people, as an example, on social media, and they'll say, oh, well, one of the ways that you can get a lot of eyeballs and a lot of impressions is, if there's a TikTok trend, jump on the trend.
Right.
I was like, that's fine. But by the way, every time you're doing that, you're taking away focus from what you do.
And you're actually falling into the same group of everybody else in that.
As everyone else, right?
Yep.
And if I started making TikTok videos with me dancing to something because I'm trying to follow a trend, like the BS meter starts flashing.
You're gonna lose people. Never mind, because they're gonna go, that's not the person I know.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
Exactly. So I think that's the line that people fall into so easily, is to try and be top of mind. And therefore, to be top of mind, I need to be trendy. And so I have to follow all these things. And so being consistent is the biggest win.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you this will be more of a general question, not so much to this aspect of consistency. Generally speaking, though, and we can use it as an umbrella to including consistency. What would you say to anybody who says, I can't?
Who told you that you can't? What's your frame of reference? And who are you listening to? And the comment of I can't generally comes from us, comes from within. It's that little voice inside your head, but it is fed by history, by culture, by your upbringing, and by the people with whom you surround yourself. And so part of it is to be really honest about who are you listening to, who are you surrounding yourself with, and you may find that there is people in your orbit who are not cheerleaders like you need them to be. And I have people in my orbit who are great cheerleaders. That doesn't mean that they tell me what I want to hear.
Right. No, they tell you what you need to hear most times.
They tell me what I need to hear, and they're brutally honest. And sometimes it's hard to hear, but that's far more valuable to me than just somebody saying, oh, you got it, go girl, or whatever, right? But I also have people in my orbit who don't understand entrepreneurship. That's not their world.
Right.
They've lived within a corporate culture forever. And so I'm like this three-headed monster talking to them about this stuff. This is totally different. And so the value that I put on their criticism is very different than the value I put on those who are telling me what I need to hear. And so it's not that I'm cutting them out. It's just being really mindful. But it takes a moment, David, of being really quiet and figuring out, where does the I can't come from?
I really like your answer to that. I really do. It's something I've been saying to my children since the day they were born.
Mhm.
You can.
You can.
You can. And I remember when Jennifer, and I know some of my regular listeners, like, Dave, we've heard this story. Too bad. I'm going to tell it again. But it's like when Jennifer would turn to me, she's like, honey, they don't understand you. I'm like, one day they will.
Yeah.
And when they say they can't, they're going to hear daddy's voice going, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
And that for me is important, because I believe that we can do anything we put our minds to.
Agreed.
Now,
Agreed.
when we look at that, how much of success do you think is skill versus people simply getting out of their own way?
That's a great question. So I think there is some skill required to be successful, although I would question the word success, because it's how you define it.
I like that.
Because success, to some people, success means that they've got lots of zeros, multiple zeros in their bank account. For other people, it's success is that they're able to take a family trip every year or pay for their kids' education or whatever. So how do you define success, I think, is definitely part of it. Ask the question again, because I'm curious.
Well, how about I ask you this question instead? Day's over for you.
Yes.
You've done everything you had to do.
Yeah.
How do you know it's been a successful day for you? As we talk about defining it.
Yeah. So success for me every day is making connections with people and having conversations with people in which I learn something. And you can't take that to the bank. I get it. I mean, a really successful day is I get another contract signed.
Okay.
But those moments of connection, of having a really great, amazing conversation like we're having, that to me is success. For sure.
I like that. It's interesting. And I know you threw in the little joke about getting the contract signed, and I think that it's not a joke. We all would say the same thing as businesses. So there's no shying away from that. However, it was certainly not what you led with, and it's certainly what I can tell is not the genuine from the heart answer as much as it is of, did I accomplish my day? Did I make some great connections? Did I have a great conversation?
Right.
And ultimately that is typically from and we like to say we get some amazing guests, including yourself on this show. I've asked that question hundreds and hundreds of times, and the best of the best have never used the word money to answer that question.
No. I'll tell you, one of the most successful days I had recently was when I got a message from somebody who had been in the audience when I delivered my signature keynote.
Yeah.
And she sent me a note and she said, I had been thinking about changing my job for a long time. And I didn't know how, and I didn't know if I should. And I had this little voice inside my head saying, no, just stay where you are. And she's like, I heard you speak, and I've decided to own my worth, which is part of my keynote. And not only am I leaving my job, but I've decided to move to the UK because I've always wanted to do that.
Wow.
And to me, that was like, that made my month.
That's so cool.
I was like,
congratulations to you.
Right. Well, it's that has got huge value to me.
I get it.
And yeah, make a difference one person at a time.
Lesley, give me some final words of wisdom here just before we close out today, please. Just a final message to anybody. Just wrap us up based on today.
Yeah. So for those who are in the real estate business, or quite frankly, in any business right now, I know it feels heavy.
Mhm.
I know that there's lots of pressures, and it's been a long winter. But I would say that the more you are truly honest with yourself, you are authentic in who you are, and you continue to have a real focus on human connection, that's how you're going to make a difference. That's how you make a difference in people's lives. That's how your business stands out. And that's how you become successful. It's not about what's in your bank account, although we need that. It's about the difference that you can make in people's lives every day. And as a real estate agent, you're managing such a huge part of people's lives. It's a huge transaction. And so if you can make that meaningful, impactful, memorable in the most authentic way, then you're winning at life.
Words of wisdom. Lesley, where can people find you?
You can find me on lesleyhawkins.ca or on LinkedIn, Instagram, all under Lesley Hawkins.
I want to encourage everybody to go check her out, go learn more at lesleyhawkins.ca. Check her out on Instagram, LinkedIn, social media, website, you name it. She's absolutely awesome. We got connected last year at a point, and I was very grateful for the connection that I had, and we got to meet in person. I know you were at our mastermind. Our audience was all over it. It was amazing, and it was very, very important to us to be able to steal a little bit more time from you to have you back today and get you out even to more of our audience. And so a huge thank you for making the time. It's been absolutely amazing conversation, as it always is together. And I wish we had even more time, because I could keep going about so many different things here. I will say, though, to everybody tuned in, it is now on you to put it all into action. So Lesley, a big thank you once again for joining us today.
Thank you. That was amazing. Love your time.
We will talk to you shortly.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think what really stood out in this conversation is that success in business today isn't just about working harder anymore. Everybody's working hard, right? Everybody has access to a lot of the same tools, the same technology, the same AI, the same platforms. But not everybody knows how to actually stand out. Not everybody knows how to be a leader under pressure, or how to communicate their value, or how to stay confident when things get hard. And that's where real separation happens between any of us and all of us. And I really love this conversation, because it wasn't just about branding. It wasn't just about marketing or leadership. In theory, this was more about how people actually operate in our day to day, how we think and how we show up to things, and how we adapt to different situations, how we build trust with one another, and how we continue to grow even when things are getting uncomfortable. So, for everybody listening, don't just consume don't just consume this episode and then move on. I want you to actually take something from it. I want you to apply it. I want you to implement it. I want you to have the hard conversations, both with yourself and, like Lesley shared, with other people that might be willing to tell it to you. Because when you look at yourself and you look at your business honestly, you're going to learn a lot. And that awareness is huge, but awareness without action changes absolutely nothing. So again, and once again, a huge thank you to Lesley Hawkins, former vice president at Adidas, for joining us today. Absolute great conversation. As always, a big thanks to Kits and Ram Magazine for sponsoring this episode of the MindShare podcast. And of course, a big thank you to each and every single one of you for making the time to join us today. My name is David Greenspan, reminding you to build MindShare so you get more market share. Thank you for tuning in. I will catch you all next week.